but I'm pleased right now to bring in former United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador John Bolton. Always good to have you in, Ambassador. Thank you for joining me today.
Glad to be with you.
So I'd like to get your reaction to where we are today. United Nations Security Council yesterday urging everyone to show restraint. It depends now on if Israel chooses to do that. As you and I have discussed before, there have been a lot of things that could have been done leading up to this as far as the nuclear sites in Iran that you think the U.S. could have maybe been stronger in defensive, attacking them. But now it looks like this could be the next move in play if you're Israel and don't want to just sit back. What is your read, sir?
Well, we can tell from the debates within the Israeli war cabinet that they've made a decision. They are going to retaliate. So to the extent President Biden and others urged no retaliation, which I think was shameful, I think the Israelis are going to reject that. I think the debate now is how strong the retaliation is going to be. And that's an important question. I think we should recognize Israel has been under attack by Iran and its terrorist proxies all over the Middle East since October the 7th. And some of these terrorist proxies like Hezbollah are very, very heavily armed with missiles and drones. So Israel's got to think of its own security. But the principal threat that Iran poses to the whole world, not just the region, is its effort to get nuclear weapons. And Israel, as the little Satan, would be the first target of those nuclear weapons. But the United States, as the great Satan, in the words of the Ayatollahs, I think is at risk, as are other friends and allies. The U.S. shouldn't be criticizing Israel now. It shouldn't be acting as if it had a win, as the president apparently told Netanyahu over the weekend, simply because no Israelis died. That's not a win. That's dodging the bullet, literally, in this case, over 300 bullets. The question is, what makes Iran stop firing missiles and drones at Israel? And I think retaliation would go a long way to making that point.
Well, as we watch that, we know that the U.S. did shoot down the drones, and also UK was involved, Saudi Arabia and Jordan. Did Iran get somewhat, although they weren't successful, did they get somewhat of a domestic win to kind of quell some of the folks that they wanted to show that they would respond after Syria? And do you believe that when they say this matter is over, that it would be? Or do you think they're just plotting, no matter what Israel does, that they have other ulterior motives, knowing that Joe Biden's still here in the White House and, you know, frankly, hasn't enforced sanctions and has given them billions of dollars?
I think part of the trouble is they're not worried about the United States. They don't see Biden as having the spine to cross Iran's red line of not attacking on their territory. And there's a very interesting piece of information the Wall Street Journal reported yesterday that I don't think is getting much attention, but the figures that Israel uses, the U.S. uses, roughly 115 to 130 ballistic missiles fired by Iran, not counting the cruise missiles, not counting the drones. Wall Street Journal, citing an anonymous U.S. official yesterday, said half of those missiles crashed on launch or didn't make it far enough to get shot down, which means that when we say 99% of the 320 plus projectiles were shot down, I'm not sure that's right. These numbers are moving around. Maybe it indicates even more ballistic missiles were fired that aren't in that 320 category. But just the total volume of what the Iranians fired could have caused enormous damage in Israel if they had gotten through. And not every day will be as good for missile defense technology as Saturday night was.
No, and Iran's also made threats about U.S. troops. We have a map here. We know that they attacked in Jordan. There were fatalities there. The U.S. has moved some destroyers in the area. The head of CENTCOM was there days before. You know, and a lot of people are wondering, you know, if these troops are sitting ducks. And also to the fact is, Iran said they were going to do it, but it was somewhat theatrical in a way, Ambassador, because they didn't do it covertly. They're like, we're going to do it. It's imminent. And here it is, which that led to some saying it was a bit of they allowed Israel to prepare. So maybe it wasn't necessarily this time to surprise them.
No, I think Israel's been on full alert for a potential attack from Iran for a long time. And maybe there was some element of assistance here, but U.S. intelligence, I believe, could alert Israel in plenty of time. So I don't buy the argument that Iran was just playing games here. And I think that certainly from Israel's point of view, assurances that Iran has given over the years have proven to be just deception operations. And so whatever they're saying about what their intention is now, I don't think it's worth the paper it's printed on.
Ambassador John Bolton, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate the analysis. Good to have you in, sir.